Hello and welcome. In this video, we'll learn perhaps the most important research tool that is available in the market with AI called the Notebook LM. This is excessively easy to use and immensely powerful. So what we'll learn in this video is what is Notebook LM, how to access or open it, how to research or just the research capabilities of Notebook LM, and how to look for new relevant content using the tool. So what exactly is Notebook LM, or why would you want to use it? So if there are these three case scenarios. You want low hallucination rates. You must have seen this when you've used any other AI tool, be it Gemini, be it ChatGPT or Grok. So they tend to hallucinate or make things up. And the other issue is that it'll always give you an answer, even if it is not correct. So if you ask any question to an AI, it'll always give an answer. And that is because it relies on the internet, and it relies on how it has been trained with the internet to give answers. So it at times or very often when you ask a lot of questions, it has a tendency of making things up. So it doesn't analyze things properly, or it doesn't research things properly, or it gives something in return. And specifically in some of the tools, like I know in my personal experience, ChatGPT also does not gets the sourcing right. So if you think about it in terms of a researcher, that is a big problem, because even if you are if AI is helping you with getting a lot of information, you have to manually still go through each and every source and verify the information. So if that is something that you are struggling with, if you have, and this often happens when we're researching, so we have collected a lot of different data sources, and which is related to the same topic or concepts, or looks at different facets of that same research. So if that is the case, so you've got different formats or files in different locations, formats in the sense, or you've got PDFs, you've got text, you've got some other formats, or it is in different mediums, like you've got video, you've got, let's say, YouTube video, you've got a few podcasts, and you've got a lot of texts and a lot of, let's say, website articles. So all of those things, Notebook LM allows you to bring in one place so that you can start researching, and you can basically analyze it. You can do all the things that you would normally do in an AI model or in an AI platform like Gemini or ChatGPT. You can do the same thing. So you can basically put a boundary in terms of what are the places an AI model will search. And within that boundary, or within that the place within which you want the AI to work, you can do all the things that you can normally do in ChatGPT and other places. So that is the potential of Notebook LM. I'll just quickly talk to you about the major things, or uh, so think of Notebook LM as a AI powered research partner, where you can basically upload a lot of documents. And very recently, they've added these Google Docs and Google Slides. So a lot of the documents you can upload. Till even last week, they were not supporting Google Slides, which is basically the Excel equivalent of Google. So you can also upload tables and Excel sheets through Google Slides now. So you can upload documents. You can ask questions to Notebook LM, and it'll only search things within the document. You can see the source. So if you've asked a question and Notebook LM has given you an answer, each and every statement within that answer, the document and the paragraph from within the document, it'll show you the source over there. So you can cross verify immediately each and every part of the response that Notebook LM has given. And you can also create a lot of other content. So we'll also talk about it. And this is something very important. Google currently, so this is a Google product. Google currently doesn't use the information or the resources that you upload in Notebook LM to train their models. So it is in a way safe. So currently, whatever you put up on any other platform, be it Gemini, be it ChatGPT, all the document is being used in one way or the other. So they're storing that information and they're using the same information to improve the responses or the quality of their AI platforms. In the case of Notebook LM, that does not happen. So it does not store your personal data, including your source uploads, queries, and the responses for the model from the model for training their models. So that is something that I personally really like. So your content in a way is safe. But I'll repeat myself. This is only true for Notebook LM and not for other Google tools that we'll be going through. So let's see how we can work with it. So you need to have a Gmail account. If you don't have it, you can just create one. Any Gmail account would do. So once you're in Gmail account, you can see this over here. So you click on this. And so basically what we did is we clicked on this. And when you scroll down and down and down and down, you will be able to see this. This is called Notebook LM. So this is a push to Notebook LM is available inside your Gmail. So this is one of the ways you can open it. So when you click on Notebook LM, this is basically how Notebook LM looks the first time. So one more thing that we did not, that was not visible over there. So Notebook LM currently supports 50 different kinds of documents in one file. So that is something, so you can have 50 different kinds of documents or content, pieces of content. So pieces of content could be, let's say you can have 25 YouTube videos, 10 articles or PDFs that you've uploaded, and another 10 website links. So it'll search through all of those. So 50 is basically the cap. You can also have one and you can have multiple as well. So how do we go about? So you come up over here. So these are some of the things that I've worked on. So think of all of these tiles that you see as different files. So whatever you want to work on, you start with create new notebook. So when you click on create new notebook, this is basically how the window appears. So the first thing it asks is, what are the documents that you want me to search from? So there are three different things that you can do. You can either upload the document, which is basically over here, and these are the file options that are available. It supports PDF, it supports text. It supports text. That basically means that it does not support a docx file that we have on Word, but if you save it as text file, which basically is the same file without formatting or with minimal formatting, so then it'll work. So basically, it supports this. It also supports Markdown. It's a language. It's a way of writing which websites easily understand. So it is also a text format. It supports audio files, MP3. It supports BMP. It supports GIF. So these are all image and image types, different kinds of image file types: JPG, PNG, WebEx, WebP, TIFF. So these are basically all the file formats it supports right now. There's another way of uploading. You see at the bottom. You can also, this connects you to your Google Drive account, and you can pull PDFs. You can also pull Google Docs or slides from there. So files that are kept on your Google Drive can also be brought in. You can also add websites. So basically, you can add websites or you can add YouTube links. And there would be certain times. So a lot of the websites are increasingly trying to avoid Notebook LM. So a lot of the media organization sites, they tend to not allow their content to be pulled into Notebook LM. If that becomes the case, which you'll get to know, so when you're trying to load the website content, it'll give an error. if that ever happens, you can copy paste the relevant portions from that website and just and start using it over here. So these are the different ways in which you can upload. So you can upload physically from your computer. You can upload or connect your Google Drive and get content from there. You can upload websites or YouTube links, or you can directly copy paste. And in terms of format, it does not support currently docx, which is basically the Word format. It also doesn't support currently Excel files, which is also something which is commonly used in our organization. So just to be careful, you can do two things. You can either convert it to a text file, or you can convert it into a PDF, or you can upload it to your Google account, to Google Sheets or Google Docs, save it in your Google Drive, and you can pull it from there. I think that is because these are Microsoft products, and this platform is a Google thing. So I think that is the reason why. Otherwise, it doesn't. So there are easy workarounds with that. So what we'll do is, and this is basically where I find it very interesting. So whenever I'm researching, I am going through or sifting through like 15, 20 different sources and documents to understand something. So I know the questions or the things that I'm interested in, but I really don't know if all the documents that I'm screening through have relevant information, and even if it does, how much of it is where it lies within the document. So using Notebook LM, because I know what I'm looking for, I can get the relevant portions from the document out without actually going through it, which basically means that if it is a, let's say, 100-page document, and there is like, I know it is a document on topic X, and I want relevant portions within that document, I can ask Notebook LM, and just like a ChatGPT would, or just like a Gemini would, it will find the relevant portions, cull it out, and give it to me. Where does this, why is this better than ChatGPT or any other platform? Is that I know it will search only within the document that I've uploaded. It would not go beyond that. And at the same time, it also tells me exactly the paragraphs within the documents based on which it has given the responses. So let's try doing that. So I'll just quickly tell you, we'll start with one document. You can definitely try different documents at your place. I would ideally advise you to start with documents that you are a little bit aware of initially, so that you know what kind of questions to ask. And later on, you can, as you get comfortable with the software, you can do whatever kinds of documents you want to work with. So I'll just quickly show you what we are going to work with. So Down to Earth had done this cover story on climate debt. So basically, the basic premise was that the external public debt for developing countries is becoming so high. So they have too much loans. Governments in developing countries or low-income countries have so much loans that they are not able to fund their climate finance or their climate needs. So that was basically the story that we came up with. So it's a 20-page cover story with a lot of information, a lot of tables, a lot of other things. So it's basically a PDF that we have. So we'll try to upload this document. None of us really knows what is there. I know a bit of it, but so let's try to understand what the document is all about. So what I'm doing right now is I'll just one second. I'll just do it once again so that we just do it quickly. So we are here. We click on Notebook LM from Gmail, and we are here. It loads. So I'm creating. So I just created. If you look at it, I just created an untitled notebook. So I'll just click on this. I normally prefer not to upload right away. It's just a habit, but you can do that as well. Instead, I like putting it over here. So let's say this is a climate debt analysis. This is the file name. So I always normally change the file name when I'm doing some kind of research, because I know researchers would pan over days with different kinds of ideas, and so this helps me know what we are trying to do. So once we've done that, so you had that add source option that opens up by default when you open a new file or a new tile within Notebook LM. This is how Notebook LM looks. So there are three panels, and we'll go through the first two panels right now, and we'll go through the third panel in a different video. So the first panel is the source panel. So you can add source. So when you click on this add source, you see this panel reappears. So if you have forgotten to add sources or you come across some new sources that you want to add, this is basically what we'll be doing. So we'll be adding sources. Then we can discover this is basically additional sources that you want Notebook LM to search for. We'll look at it in this video itself. And then this is a very relevant or a very familiar place. This is the chat box, and you can just ask questions over here. And finally, there are some things that you can do over here in the studio options, like create videos, create podcasts, and everything else. I'm sorry, I just came out of it. So let me just upload the document. So I click on upload. So it's there on my desktop. We will be sharing this PDF with you as well. You can download it and you can work with it, or you can also use your own documents to do the research. So I've just clicked on it. PDF is supported. So I've just clicked on that. So what you can see what is happening is it is getting uploaded right now, the external debt PDF. So depending on your internet speed and how big or small the file size is, it might take some time. So now this is uploaded. In this instance, we are working with only one source because it's easier to understand, but you can work with 50 different sources across different mediums, and you can ask Notebook LM to search within them the queries or the other things that you want to understand. So what happens is the moment it gets loaded, you can see that it has been loaded and it is a PDF. There's a small summary it does. And the summary is actually not a bad one. And if you had multiple sources, the summary would be based on what are the key findings from all the different documents that are there. So it says that the source material offers a critical overview of the global sovereign debt crisis, particularly highlighting its devastating impact on developing countries and its inextricable link with the escalating climate emergency. And there are some other things as well. So this is basically what it does. Now, what you can do is you can ask different kinds of questions, or it also gives you some questions that it thinks you can ask. So if you want, you can also do that. How does the current global financial architecture exacerbate developing countries' climate vulnerability? Let's say I want to ask, let's say, what is the second question that is there? Systemic reforms proposed to effectively resolve debt climate crisis. So let me see, ask the same question. Now let's see what happens. So this is a question that Notebook LM said I can ask. So I've asked it. Now let's have a look at the answer. So the question was, what systemic reforms are proposed? So what kind of reforms are proposed? And it is based on the document again. So now let's see what is the answer it has given. The systemic reforms proposed to effectively resolve the debt climate crisis are and free up necessary climate finance, focus primarily on fixing the broken financial system and establishing mechanisms for fair and timely debt resolution. Wonderful. It's a wonderful response. I want to understand from where has it got this statement. So you can see this one over here. I'll just zoom out a little bit. It'll become easier. So I'm hovering my mouse or placing my mouse on top of it. So it is what you see over here is the paragraph that exists in the PDF. Based on this paragraph, it has come up with a statement. So what you find, there are two parts to this. This is the exact paragraph. I'm sorry, one second. This is the exact paragraph, and at the bottom is the document, external debt.pdf. This is basically the document that we've just uploaded. So in this case, it doesn't really matter because there's only one document. So if you have 50 different documents or different sources, it'll tell you which particular document it is taking it from and what is the paragraph. If there are multiple documents talking about it, all of them will be listed over here, and those small little things will appear. Let me see. So over here, it won't really matter. Or let's say key systemic reforms and proposals mentioned in the source include establish a UN-led multilateral sovereign debt mechanism, a UN-like multilateral sovereign debt mechanism. So this is basically from here. At the root of the problem lies gaping holes in the economic order. There's no international mechanism to deal with debt. And then it basically talks about the same thing or a similar thing. Then there is UN-led multilateral sovereign. This is from this, I'm assuming this is the one. So you get the drift. So it basically tells you exactly the paragraphs or the relevant paragraphs and also document from which you're sourcing it. Then, and you can do all the things that you would not ordinarily do with Chat GPT. Let me ask a question. Let me ask, so one is that you can ask questions. You can also ask it to create tables. And this is something that I extensively use. So if you have a lot of information scattered all around, you can ask it to give you a table or so that you can analyze it later. So give me a table of how external debt has increased over the past years. Make it region-wise if possible. So I've asked for a table, and if you look at it, this is the same concept that we were following in prompting. So I'm saying exactly what I want and in what format. So I've typed it wrong a little bit over the past years, over the past years. Anyways, so now it has picked it up. So now it has come up with some information. Overall external debt growth, how it has happened in low and middle income countries. LMIC is low and middle income countries. The dependence on developing countries on external debt has increased substantially between 2013 and 2023. This is basically what the numbers are from. And it has basically, is even giving me sources against the numbers. So you can basically click on it and you can come down over here and you can basically see from where it has been picked up. So this is basically a table which is getting broken 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and basically the equivalent values in front of it. Then this is basically the region-wise breakup that it came up with. And there are some other informations along with it. So you can create tables. You can even ask any other question that you feel like. If there are other suggestions that come up at the bottom. Finally, this is the most important thing. So once you've done all the research, because as we spoke about the fact that it does not save the information to train its own models, if you close the window right now, everything that you see in the chat box will disappear. So let's say I want this table for further analysis, and I think it is important, or I like some of the responses that I see over here. So what you need to do is at the bottom of every query that you've asked for, every answer that it comes with, you will have an option to save to note. So we have asked two queries. So there's a save to note at the bottom of this one. This is the second query. And similarly, there's another option over here, save to note for this query. Always and always press on save to note, because if you don't do that, the response will disappear the moment you close the browser. So you will lose all the research that you've done if you don't do the save to note. So you just click on save to note. And what it does is it creates a note over here, and you can do some things with the note. You can double click on it and it opens up. So basically right now we're in the third window. We are not in the chat window. We are in the third window. So this is basically the note. You can change it to something else. This looks fine, but you can change it to, let's say, note 1 on public external debt of LMICs 2013. So whichever way you want to save it, you can do that. So you can change the file name and the entire response gets saved over here. So this is very important. So now that we have searched and we have got, okay, another thing that I wanted to show was the fact that if I ask, unlike ChatGPT, if I ask a thing that won't be relevant or would not be available over here, NotebookLM says I don't have the response, or at least the source that you've given me doesn't have the response. So let me ask something outlandish. Let me ask, what is the air pollution levels in Delhi today? So now it is searching the document again because you've put the thing. The response is based on the sources provided, which focus on systemic debt and climate crises facing low and middle income countries. There is no information available regarding the air pollution levels in Delhi today. And then it talks about what the document talks about, and it stops over there. So this is something that I find very reassuring. The fact that it does not hallucinate, or it does not always give me an answer. So if my question is not framed properly, or if it understands my question in a way it is not intended to, it will stop and it will say that I don't get what you're saying. So that's something that is important. And that is perhaps the most important reason I will be using this over any other chat GPTs and things of and other platforms. This is because NotebookLM, the purpose is to do research and to not hallucinate or reduce hallucination and bring it down to the bare minimum. I would still always recommend you to cross-check the relevant portions that you're using in the final research, be it a report, be it an article, be it for your own understanding and consumption, be it to brief your boss, your colleagues. So while you're researching, you're looking at a lot of things from a lot of different places, but whatever gets distilled for communication, always cross-check it, even if it is from NotebookLM, because while it is very good, it might still get things wrong. It is so even NotebookLM gives a disclaimer at the bottom. So please double check its responses. I normally do it with only the bits that I will be using to communicate. So once we've done that, the last bit in this video is basically the discover option. So let's say this is the document and you've gone through it and you've found whatever you could in this. Now you want to look for new data sources, but you really don't know what to look for or where to look for. What you can do is you had the add option, and now you also have something called a discover option. So discover option is basically, this is the first time and perhaps the only time NotebookLM searches the internet. It goes beyond the boundaries that you had you had put for NotebookLM. That says, okay, what are you interested in? So we're talking about climate debt and public debt. So let me see if we ask about, I want documents on. So you are basically writing another prompt over here in a way. Climate debt or climate needs, finance needs of LMICs. So this is related to what we have, but this is slightly different. I can also ask for, please also share the NDC documents. So NDCs are basically nationally determined commitments. These are each and every country, or almost all UN countries, they have a document where they say that, okay, we want to reduce our climate climate change contributions by such and such date, by such and such percentage. So we will embrace, let's say, renewable energy by the end of by 2030, and something and something and something. And it also talks about the amount of money it would require, whether it will be able to generate the money internally, or whether it would need help from developed countries. So this is basically what these NDCs are. These are documents that each country submits to the UN, and it is basically a document which talks about their climate ambition and what they want to do. So I've asked it to also share the documents of LMICs. And then I also, let's say, want to have a look at India. So I've given this, and let's see what it does. So you can basically, depending on how much context you give over here, this is very brief, it usually will give the documents that thinks is relevant. And the same concept of persona, you can give a persona over here. Okay, I am a journalist. Okay, I'm this or that. You can also give the file type that you're most comfortable with. So you can do all of that over here. So now let's see what it has done. It has picked up something called an adaptation finance gap report of 2023, which is basically exactly what we're looking at. A definitive UNFCCC UN agency on climate change, a report detailing the adaptation finance gap for developing countries. This is exactly what we're looking for. NDC's contributions registry. So it has picked up the registry, which has the direct link to the public registries of all the nationally determined contributions. India's NDC document. This is the first one. I think there have been more after this as well, if I'm not wrong. But anyways, this is the one that they communicated in 2022. So it has picked up that. It has picked up some other documents. So you can click on this to see what this is if you want to understand better. So some website called Tax TMI, it has some article on failure of developed countries on climate finance makes NDCs unachievable. India has said at COP30. So it said yesterday or today itself, is it? It's yesterday, November 15th. So that's basically how recent the search is. So it is searched and it is basically a PTI copy, a news agency called PTI. It is their copy. It's a credible source in a way. The website I've not heard of, but this article is sourced from PTI. So India has actually said exactly what we're searching right now. Failure of developed countries on climate finances is making NDCs unachievable. So this is basically one of the things that we're looking at. So this article has also been picked up, and a lot of other things as well. So it has picked up 10 sources. Let's go with the finance gap report. And let's also add India. So these are two things let's go with. I'm not importing the other sources. And I click on import. So now you see on your left, the documents that we looked at, they are being imported. Now there is something that you can do. So if you see this checkbox on the right hand side, you can, for specific queries, filter out. So if I want something to do with India's NDCs, I know this is the document, even though I don't know what India's NDC commitments are, because I have imported this document. I know that this is the place from where I want the information on India's NDC. So I'm basically filtering out further within the three sources that I have. So let me ask, this is basically the document I want you from. And let's say I ask, what are the highlights or targets India has set in its NDCs for, or let me just keep it open-ended. Let's see what it gives, because I really don't know what all is there in the document right now. So it says India has communicated blah, 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 August 2022, covering for the period of up to 2030. And lifestyle and sustainability, this is a thing that India has a commitment, and this is something that we are also aware of in India, which is basically healthy living and sustainable living, which includes eating healthy to exercising to a lot of other things. And then there's development pathways that it has talked about, emission intensity of GDP. It has talked about to reduce emissions intensity of its GDP by 45% by 2030 from the 2005 levels. If you want to see, this is an updated target. So if you want to see, okay, if it is correct or not, I just click on this and it says this is basically 2005 updated. So this is the document. And so you can just click on it, and this basically tells you what it is picked it up from. And it also at the bottom also shows this is from this document that we have. So you can also filter out and something else and something else and something else. Now I would want to also save this to Note, and I've done that. And I'm just changing the name because it's a good habit to change it to something that you are comfortable with. Highlights of India NDC. document. What you can also do, and this is something very interesting in researching. So now let's say I've got a lot of, so you can just close all of these windows from here. So you've got two documents. Let's say you've got like 20 other documents, and now all the documents that have culled out, the portions that are relevant, you've culled out. So what we have over here are the bits and pieces that you have culled out from the original documents that you were researching from. Now, you have the option of converting these documents or these notes that you've created. These are notes according to Google Notebook LM. These notes can also be made into sources. If you have verified this and you think that, okay, this is the relevant portion, let me just take out this portion and I want this to be a source for it to be searched. So I clicked on these three dots. It says convert to source and it says convert all notes to source. So let's click on convert all notes to source for the time being. And let's see what happens. So it has converted all notes to source. You should again do the same thing. It gives you the note guide and some options or some things to look for. So this is another very interesting thing. So once you've done your research, you can convert your research into notes as well, into sources as well for searching. And you can then basically toggle between all of them. It makes it more relevant. So you're basically filtering out a lot of unnecessary information when you're doing this in the process. So this is basically what we want to talk about. So we've in this video talked about what is Notebook LM, why personally for Rajat, this is one of the most powerful AI tools that I use extensively on an everyday basis for the kind of communication, for the kind of idea that I want to come up with. And we've looked at how to import different documents. We have looked at what to do. We have also looked at how to ask questions and how to get the sources, and also look into the internet to find more sources as well. So I'll stop over here. But one last thing that I wanted to show. So if you look at it, so this is the new tile that is created. So all of these tiles are different tiles that you've created, or things that files that you've created is how you can look at it. So I can come back to this tomorrow and I can basically see. So if you look at it, the last question that I asked, it is not there anymore. And if you refresh it, all the information goes away. So only the bits that you have saved on the right-hand side as notes remain. Everything else over here disappears. This is basically and now this analysis is based on 4 sources, because we have got 4 different sources, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this will be slightly different from what it was when we had initially started. Thank you.